I'm on a road trip through America on a mission to seek out some seriously skilled bakers. I've got a bowl and a wooden spoon, and you've got a fancy machine. And satisfy my passion for all things baked. This is the United Cakes of America. Today I'm in Philadelphia, meeting identical baking brothers who are a triple threat in the kitchen.
Now that's a shock. Look at that.
Then I'll be crossing state lines and heading to Brooklyn to meet a man with whom I've got a lot in common.
You've got a kitchen, you've got the view, and you've got motorbikes. Yeah. This is heaven for me.
And in my kitchen, I'll be knocking up a couple of sweet treats for you to try at home. Lime snow eggs and a fig and butter cake.
Figs and butter are a great combination.
Philadelphia was once the second largest city in the British Empire. Today it boasts a rich culinary heritage that has survived through generations of European settlers. And I've got lucky. It's the perfect weather for this leg of my road trip.
It is really, really hot. And the air conditioning in this thing went a long time ago. But you're okay as long as you're moving.
And I'm moving north into the suburbs, where I hear there's a great bakery hidden away.
I'm going to try and find a very, very famous cake in this area. It's called the Buttercake, which those people who know me, this is going to be right up my street.
Danish Bakers in Rockledge is said to make the best butter cake in Philadelphia, so I've come to find out their secret.
Right, this is the team. Now that's a shock. Look at that.
Well, that's certainly something I've never seen before. Identical baking triplets.
This is kind of weird, isn't it? How do three of you end up working in a bakery?
Your dad, your grandfather starts one, that's how you end up here.
Right.
Yeah.
These triplets are practically grown up in this bakery, and now they're following in their grandfather's footsteps and running it for themselves.
So what's it like being triplets?
Like growing up, we always had someone to stick up for us, you know? No one ever messed with us at school, because if they did, they'd have...
But they don't know which one they're messing with, that's the problem.
That's true.
They're messing with the
true.
And apparently their butter cake is the stuff of legend.
People around here, if they're having a barbecue or a birthday party, they always stop in and get one for dessert.
Eagles?
Yeah,
Oh, watching the Eagles,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Right.
That's soccer or football?
Football.
Oh, sorry.
American.
American.
The famous butter cake starts with a sweet bread-like dough that lines the base of a cake tin.
So what makes yours special? This process or?
I think the whole process.
Right.
Our grandfather and great-grandfather, they had a great recipe for butter cake.
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is you have to have a good recipe. Talk the dough, make sure all the air gets out. That way you don't get any air bubbles when the cake bakes.
What's this bit here?
So this is our butter topping. It's a base of sugar, milk, butter.
You're not really into your low-fat bacon in America, are you, really?
No. I think people, you know, they hear butter cake and they just think, oh, this is going to be the worst thing in the world for me to eat. But
Not me. This is going to be the best thing in the world for me.
You'll see it. Yeah, if we take it to a party, you know, girls will go up to it and they'll just take like a little square. They're like, oh, you know, it's too many calories, but then they keep going back for their little square. Next thing you know, there is no more.
Yeah, well, there you go, right. So this has been in the oven for only about 15 minutes. That's all it's taken. So I take it you don't want to go dipping your finger in there yet?
No, that's just like it's like napalm if you get it on you. Yeah. Just not doing the happy dance.
So how many of these are you making when it's really busy here?
We don't know. We just make them until we just can't make any more. Yeah. So like I'll come in during the holidays and I'll help them out, and I'll stand in that corner down there and just mix the topping all day long. So it's over like 300.
Now they put you in the corner. Why? Because you're. Are you the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah.
By how long?
2 minutes older than Ian, and Ian's 4 minutes older than Devin.
You're the youngest. You're going in the corner next time. Or do you have to wash up?
No, I don't have to wash up. I'm the youngest. I'm spoiled.
All right. No comment, guys.
We're heading back to the triplets' family home to share the butter cakes with Ma and Pa.
See, that's the thing. See, when you put it in gear and it stalls itself. Don't you start? It's American engineering.
You got an F1 license.
Right, watch.
That was a bit embarrassing. And just to make matters worse, it turns out that the triplets' dad is a big car enthusiast.
Now this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is a proper car. So whose is this?
This is our dad's car. It's
Right.
a 76 TR6.
So do you like it or not?
Yeah, we love it. Yeah. You drive it down the street and everybody starts waving to you.
If their taste in cars is anything to go by, I'm going to get on really well with this family. We join them in the back garden having a beer in the sunshine. Butter cake and beer sounds like heaven.
So Jackie, tell us about the first time you found out you were having triplets.
Well, she said, oh, you're having twins. And I said, well, okay, twins. I could handle twins. And then she said, wait a minute. And I said, you made a mistake, didn't you? There's only one. And she said, I found another one.
How was it for you when you found out?
My first question was with the doc is, how much is this going to cost me? He said, oh, the same price. I said, oh, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, you did ask him.
I did.
I have to say, this is the best cake I've tried in America yet.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is delicious. I mean, this is proper food. You need to learn what we call in England a Yorkshire portion, right? Because that is not a Yorkshire portion. This is a Yorkshire portion. So you guys can carry on, have that one, and leave me to it. I'm a happy man.
Sounds good.
The butter cake that I tried was actually my favourite cake on the entire trip. But for me, it was all about the topping, and it was a mixture of icing sugar, butter, flour, eggs, and milk baked onto that dough. What I'm going to do is create a taste very similar, but do the garnish and the topping separate in this fig and butter cake. So first thing for our cake, we're going to use just a normal sort of Swiss roll tin, and I'm going to lightly butter this. Now, the butter isn't to stop the cake from sticking, it's to stick the paper to the tray. And the easiest way to do this is just cut the corners. And then when you place the paper onto the tray, the edges fold in nice and neat. I learnt that, to be honest, from my grandmother when we used to do Swiss rolls, because she hated broken edges. She wanted a perfect square edge to it. And it's a great tip that I still use in the restaurant now. Nice and simple. Now for our figs. And figs and butter are a great combination.
Cut them into slices and place them in a baking tin. Now for the cake batter. Cream butter, caster sugar and light brown sugar together.
Now there's not a lot of butter going in there, and it's purely the fact that we're going to use these two next ingredients. So I've got some buttermilk here, and buttermilk's used a lot in cakes in the US because it's got a distinct sort of flavour to it, like a little acidity which goes really well with cakes. And also what they use is a lot of oil. This is rapeseed oil, great for cake baking because it's quite a mild flavour, but will give it a lovely colour when it cooks in the oven.
Add the buttermilk, followed by eggs and rapeseed oil.
Looks pretty good. Now you see, because of the oil in there, it just separates the mixture a little bit. You can see that. Don't worry about this, because when we add the flour and everything else, the salt, it's going to hold it all together. So, good pinch of salt, about a teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to mix in with the flour, and a teaspoon of vanilla. So, throw in the flour and just lightly mix it together. And this is important to do this bit by hand. You can actually see the mixture starting to come together. It's gone from a split mixture to almost like a Swiss roll sort of texture. It's very different to sort of a sponge mixture, more runnier and lighter because of the oil that you've got in there. So once we got to this stage, you can quickly pour it onto the tray.
When the cooked cake gets turned out of the tin later, the figs end up on the top.
So we just knock the tray. This will just get the cake mixture right into the corners, and then pop it straight in the oven. And this wants to cook for about 15 minutes. Now, while that's cooking, this whole thing is all about the topping. In my version of the butter cake, I'm using icing sugar with butter that I'll serve with the cake once it's baked. Just whisk them together. And it'll go really, really white in colour. Now, you could flavour this with vanilla, a touch of brandy if you want. So, once you've mixed in all the icing sugar, whisk this for about 10 minutes, and it should be ready.
The cake needs to sit for about 5 minutes before it gets turned out of its tin to reveal the lovely figs. Serve up a generous slice with a big dollop of the buttercream.
And there it is. Well, we've got a fig and butter cake. Now you can see the icing just melts over the top, and you get a texture and a taste similar to a classic Philadelphia butter cake. Now the topping is very similar to butter cake, but it's the base where it changes. I've used more of a cake base, but the taste should be very similar. It is. It's sweet, buttery, but funny enough, with all that butter and all that sugar, it's not sickly. And I think the figs help that. Almost as good as theirs. Not far off.
I'm on an all-American road trip, and I've left the hospitality of Rockledge, Philadelphia behind to continue my journey. I'm really excited about my next stop, Brooklyn. It's one of New York City's biggest boroughs, with 2.5 million residents, and it's just across the water from the bright lights of Manhattan.
This area where I'm in now is really up and coming. It's full of great shops, great stores, great restaurants, cafeterias, cafes. It's a really busy place.
But right now I'm heading to the waterfront and the neighborhood of Red Hook.
Now I'm here in search of key lime pie, a dish that you wouldn't normally associate with this part of America. The limes come in from Florida and the Key West, and apparently the bakery is somewhere in amongst all this lot.
I'm going to meet a man who's brought a little bit of the Florida Keys to Brooklyn.
So tell us about Red Hook. Where are we in terms of New York?
We're in the harbor, perched the Statue of Liberty is just behind us. We're on an old Civil War era pier, one of a few remaining working piers in New York City.
Steve grew up in Miami but moved to Brooklyn in the late 80s and has been supplying authentic key lime pies to New Yorkers pretty much ever since.
So I'm assuming the clue is in the title, the limes are the important part.
They are. The reason I started making them in the first place in Miami is because I couldn't get a good one. People are using bottled juice, they're cutting corners.
The bigger stuff, the Persian limes,
Right.
are what I'm so familiar with.
The key lime is the true lime. The Persian limes were actually developed through genetics.
Yeah, they must be more labor intensive, and you must get a lower yield out of these then. I
Yes,
suppose.
yeah, it takes, I think we've got to juice maybe 6 of these for the equivalent of a regular Persian lime.
So I think we better get started, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Show me how to make a key lime pie.
I'll do my best. Okay, this is it.
This is it.
Our humble little kitchen, yeah.
So this is your juicer.
Yeah.
There's a serious amount of limes by the looks of things.
Yeah, this is actually the second one we've had. The first one worked very hard for
Yeah,
us.
exactly. Right, so how do we make this then?
Well, we have 5 simple ingredients.
Is that the key to it then, you think, that the simplicity of it?
Oh yeah, if I had to count the ingredients on more than one hand, I would have been out of business a long time ago.
So in here you've got condensed milk.
Condensed milk,
Yeah.
and we're gonna need some egg yolks.
Okay. Do you want me to separate them?
Yeah.
I can do. So the egg yolk's gone in.
They go in, and we have our key lime juice. That's a half a cup.
Right.
That goes into there.
Can I have a quick taste of that
Sure.
stuff? Because it is sharper than conventional limes.
So there are only 3 ingredients in the filling, and the pie base is even simpler with just biscuit crumbs and melted butter. The mixture is pressed into a pie tin, then baked for 7 minutes. When it's cooled down completely, the filling gets poured back in And that's it. It couldn't be simpler.
It's not a big, proud, puffy thing. It's a very squat little affair.
So in the fridge for how long?
At least a few hours. You could always give it the shake test, you know, and see if it's starting to set up.
It seems a love of pies isn't the only thing we have in common.
So while the pie's chilling out, I'll show you our little playroom back here. We got
Check this out.
Yeah, it's good. It's the playroom.
Right, so what is this then?
This is a 73 Bonneville.
Right.
I've put it through what I call a retrograde.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of elements from the earlier Bonneville.
Right. And what have we got here?
That's a 64 Norton Atlas.
This is heaven for me, because you've got a kitchen that produces key lime pie, you've got the view of the Statue of Liberty, and you've got motorbikes.
Yeah, and British motorbikes.
You're a lucky, lucky guy. You're a lucky guy.
So it's time to taste our pie, and we're joined by Steve's wife, Victoria.
How did you meet?
I was working as a waitress in a restaurant here in Brooklyn, and he used to deliver the pies. And I guess it was love at first sight.
What, the pies or him?
With the pie first.
She met the pies before she met me.
Yeah, right. And he's got you in the kitchen now, making them.
Yeah. And I love him. It's just as good as the pies or even better.
All right, make me blush. Man, you know, they're still good after all these years.
Good.
I mean, I've tried key lime pie before, but not as good as this. And you were saying it's because of the limes, isn't it?
Yeah, we juice the limes and it goes right into the pie. So the lime flavor, to me, it just comes through so strong, so pronounced.
And because of that, it's refreshing.
It is.
It's not heavy. It's nothing like anything else I've tried on my trip before.
Oh, great.
Because
Glad to
you
hear
know
it.
you need a gymnasium after most of the things, but this is this is really nice. It's really light.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, what I loved about key lime pie, and particularly how to make it properly, was the simplicity of it. And I'm going to use the idea of that to make my dish, which is limes with granola and snow eggs.
The first element of the dish is the lime curd, and that involves condensed milk with lime zest and juice.
A bit like Steve and his key lime pie, but I can't get key limes, so I'm going to use these sort of Persian limes. Difference in flavour, but they will work roughly the same if I add the zest to it. Now, this is where I think Steve has the ultimate life. Make a pie, fall asleep. Make another pie, build a motorbike. Make another pie, go fishing. It was kind of like a great lifestyle that he's built himself, and a little oasis in the middle of Brooklyn. Now, it's the acid that actually thickens up the condensed milk. What you don't want to do is over mix it. So just leave it like that and then pop it in the fridge just so it can firm up.
The second element to this dessert is the sugared granola, and that starts with a basic caramel. Melt caster sugar in a pan, then pour it onto a baking tray to set.
Now, if we added nuts to this, like almonds and hazelnuts, this would be classed as praline, but we've already got a similar sort of texture with the granola. We've got the nuts, the oats.
And I'll combine the granola with the caramel later.
So next we can make our meringue. Now for this I'm going to do a classic cold meringue, which is 4 eggs, 8 ounces of caster sugar.
The meringues are the real star of this dish. I'm gently poaching them by heating milk with a vanilla pod. When the milk is hot but not boiling, shake the meringues with 2 spoons and drop them into the milk. The shape and texture of the meringues created by poaching them rather than baking earns them the name snow eggs.
They only want about a minute or 2. So while they're cooking, we can finish off our caramel, which is now set. You see, you just get this solid piece of sugar. You can break it up in a machine.
Spoon some of the Blitz caramel onto a baking sheet and place in the oven for a couple of minutes to melt into pliable strips. Then mix the rest of the caramel with some granola and you have a delicious crunchy garnish. And it doesn't take long before the caramel strips are ready.
As it cools down, it becomes pliable. You can see when it's just about ready. See, as it's still warm, you're still able to pull it and twist it slightly, which is what we're looking for. Now to finish off, you can lift out the little bits of meringue. And now to bring the whole dish together, start with the lime curd. Sprinkle on some sugared granola, carefully arrange a couple of the snow eggs, more granola, and finally, the caramel twists. Now, I hate the word deconstruction, but that's what I've done really. But it's a simple little lime mixture with poached snow eggs and sugared granola. Now, poaching meringues may be kind of like a restaurant-y dish, but give it a go, really. The taste is really good. But it's all in the limes. If you can get hold of key limes, it really does make a difference in the taste. They're much sharper than the Persian limes I've used. But it still tastes good though. I've had a great trip today. Philadelphia was a really exciting city, full of different cultures, and the same can be said about New York and its food. But what I've learned today is something that I've taken on all my life as a chef. If you want to learn the real true art of great cooking, is to always keep it simple. And that butter cake was fantastic. And what could be more simple than that key lime pie? Both dishes are absolutely brilliant.